Hello, everyone. And hello, Levi. Thank you for rejoining. 18 months, 19 months, going on 2 years. But welcome. How you doing? Oh, stretch. Checking in with the kitties real quick. We do have Sammy here. And everybody else laying low. We did have one of the siblings crossing there. There's Mason. Hey, Sonic. Welcome. There's Mason on the bed. Let's see how long Sammy stays on the shelf. D&D, huh? You play 5th edition, one of the earlier ones? What kind of D&D you play? Let's see. Switch over to the camera. And we only have 2 of them visible at the moment. One of them's hiding in my footrest. Kingdom Hearts homebrew D&D. Interesting. Yeah, Sonic, there are 6 different cats that can appear at various times. I do not have a puppy, not a dog person. Haha, as might be apparent by the ears. Ha 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 ha. Not averse to dogs, just not my favored animal. So today's goal in the code is first to clean up the behavior chain. We're going to be simplifying it a great deal. Realizing that the change to the way that gates work means that I don't have to fiddle with as much here. Since we're no longer trying to flatten groups. Instead, what we'll do is just let groups stay as they are and make it so that gates are either on groups controlling the whole group, or they're sitting as independent entities in the middle of the chain. So if it's on a group, it can toggle the whole group on or off. But if it's sitting in the midst of a chain, then it acts as an actual gateway, a barricade for the flow to continue. Which I think will work. The advantage is that we can just rip all of this out. Like this whole mess. There will likely be some additional fallout from that. We'll verify. So then for each behavior in added behaviors, we're going to add behavior. So we take everything that is currently in the base behavior. We are going to change that today. I want to change this from a behavior group into a behavior list. You can add a group as the first member of that list, but you can also just specify them linearly. This gives us maximum flexibility. And most of them do handle it linearly right now. But once we have that in place, it will be 2 for each loops. that will go through and add them in. So in theory, hey, let's go. First time, no errors. Loading. Okay. We are still operating. Let's do 3 into 3. Do a burst mid 3 there. 3. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Very nice, very nice. Yeah. Okay, so this has greatly simplified how we're doing the behavior chain. This will help us. So let's get that committed. I wanted to show this. So previously, what we ended up doing was this. You would have the weapon and we would iterate down, and as soon as we found a gate, well, we take the base group of the weapon and we would add in everything until you hit a gate. This is the base segment and always happened. Then you'd hit a gate and it would say, okay, take everything that follows that until we hit another gate and put that in a second group. And so on and so on. While the gate was happening, while the gate was active, it would be the base group and that cluster. But as soon as the next gate opened, this cluster would go away and the next one would take effect. This was okay, but it meant that we could really only have this kind of gate. That it is open, as soon as it opens, it's the next one opens, all the prior ones are done with. But now effectively we just have this. We take the base set of the weapon and then iterate through the rest of the chain. As soon as we hit a group, it's supposed to be there at the end, but let's just, let me just move that because it's going to bother me. Like that. Okay, as soon as you hit a group, we dive into the group. As soon as you hit a group, we dive into the group. But notably, we don't have any indicators of gates here, because that doesn't matter. Ember has come to sit with me. So, hands occupied. When Ember comes to sit with me, she climbs up my chest and, like, sits on my shoulder. Kind of hold me like a baby, you know? If I don't pay attention to her, she stands up and blocks my line of sight. But that means that there can be a gate right here on this whole block, the G being a group, not gate. There could be a gate on an individual element in here. We don't differentiate, we don't make the process any different for those. Groups are treated as a group independently. Hey there, Lore. Welcome. So this should be good. This should be good. Oof. Hello. Yes. I acknowledge you, Ember. So like I said, this has flattened down our behavior processing a great deal. This is good. The next thing we need to do for cleanliness here. Clean everything up. We are going to change this one, and this will take a moment to change. But this is saying it is a catalogable name converter for behavior. We're going to change this to a list, which will get messy fast. Let's see. Do we have another example of a list converter? I want to make sure I get this right. Spawn list should have that. Spawner item list. Okay. Do we new that list? Okay, we do new the list during initialize, which happens both in the base and in the copy. Okay, so entity has an initialized entity where we new the list. Okay. So instead of a new behavior and a new list for base behavior is going to be its own list. Where did I put that? Right up there. So we're going to make you a list of behavior, and that's going to become an issue. Where is our JSON? Oh, right there. Catalogable name list converter. What we're seeing here is this is parsing JSON, a notation for objects and data structures. How I've got it set up is that when it encounters this property, previously it treated it as a behavior object. Now it's going to treat it as if it is a list of behavior objects. So it will go through each one of them that it encounters in like an array. Now we'll have to adjust this in our behavior data file. But now, you adjust that. Let's call you base behaviors. Now we run into this, where if we get a rotate, we need to, yeah, here we go. This is another for each that we're going to have to do. Just so. I have a couple of others that will crop up here. In base behaviors. For those that are new to the channel, and I will say this over and over again in different streams, there is no expectation of programming knowledge, game dev knowledge, or even participation in the coding at all. If you wish to, feel free to call out. I will say if you are obnoxious about your opinions about the way I code or something like that, action will be taken. But participation, advice, that kind of thing, it's always welcome. We always try to take that in and understand it and potentially apply it. But do what you like. If you want to chat about something completely ungame programming related, feel free. We often derail. Okay, so we're loading all these in. Once again, we are going to do our duplication. We are duplicating a lot, and we don't necessarily need to do that this often. Exactly, Laura. It's not a sword of Damocles, it's a banhammer of Damocles, and Damocles is on the payroll. Well, it's not really Damocles is on the payroll, since I believe Damocles is the one with the sword hanging over their head, but you get what I mean. Okay, I think we've got that. Now we're going to go into our data file. And this is for entities. Where did I put those? Okay, we're going to have to go into enemies, bullets, and players for this. So right now we have base behavior, which is just one thing. So we're going to change that to base behaviors with the bracket. This is notation that I added offline before the last stream. that says there are potentially going to be multiple of these columns. Treat them as entries in an array. So we can do that. It will work as it is right now. I can also open up behavior groups. Do group files. So right here we have behaviors. I can just take this stuff and put it in there directly. The reason that this might be useful, it might be useful to do this, is so that I don't have to have the enemy behavior split across multiple files, and I don't have to create groups for each one of them. It reduces the number of data entries for each enemy and makes it so that behavior groups are meant to be like what they were, is they are a packet of behaviors instead of being a packet of behaviors for each entity. Like I could reuse them for different things more easily this way. So we're going to say if a blob has group base enemy, could there be some duplication by doing this? Like, could multiple enemies have this? Yes, they could. Do I actually care about that? No, because I will have them all in a file, and I can adjust that either by the damage that they do. Welcome, Florian. Let's see. Idea for a fantasy world. Caves with glass ceilings. Okay, so you have an exterior world that is like frozen or Arctic kind of scenario, but the caves act as almost like terrariums and foster a tropical environment. Huh. You could do some interesting stuff like that. There's a vibe of like habitat domes to that. You could even do different environments. Yes, I'm overriding the existing behavior because that is the series of buttons that I pressed. LibreOffice. Yes, I get it. Okay, so this will enter those base behaviors in there as a collection instead of handling each of them individually. So now we're going to do that for each one of them. There is our enemies. Let's get our bullets. So this is group explosion. So we're going to take group explosion. Take from here to here. Base behaviors. So again, base behaviors are the default set for it. So if you don't modify it, this is what that entity does. With weapons, it's kind of an intrinsic function of them. That is, you cannot modify a weapon and it will behave in this fashion. For enemies, it is likely to be for reuse of the enemy to give it different movement patterns sometimes. World building can be a very fun thing, Florian. Be a very fun thing. Okay, so this one, immobile test does nothing, and that's okay. This notation also allows us to explicitly enter nothing in the collection. It exists, don't populate it. We can also just do this. and it will be an empty collection. That is also fine. We're going to try it like that and verify that I'm actually right about that. So we're going to take our group red dot, pull you over here. These behaviors, you and you. Welcome, John Doe. Welcome. Another thing for those unfamiliar with the channel is if I am talking to somebody and you can't see them in the chat, it is because they are in one of the other two streams. I actively attempt to engage with every stream, so and off screen so that I avoid Twitch shenanigans. I do have all of the chats together. Then the actual yarn ball is relatively complicated right now. Base behavior, base behavior, base behavior. We've got two YouTube streams, a widescreen and a tall format. You know, your traditional PC and phone kind of layouts, as well as the Twitch stream going. Beverage. Okay, this should totally work. First time, no problems. To close these files. LibreOffice holds a full read-write lock. It will not share with other programs. Feel free to just call out stuff into chat, Florian. The only real chat rules are, you know, obey the mods, don't be rude, and if people don't engage with your conversations in chat, take the hint. But, you know, world building ideas are always kind of neat. Okay, so none of the behaviors are firing. None of the behaviors are firing. So why is that? Let's go into our build behavior and find out, because this should be true for anything. Run in. Okay, so we have our first behavior. This is the player entity. Our base behaviors has nothing in it. So there is a problem right off the gate, right out of the gate. Why would that be? Yes, Florian, feel free to just call out if you have like a, do you want to hear a thing? It's better to just say the thing than it is to ask. Otherwise, we gotta wait, you know? Huge dragon using gases lighter than air. Flight of Dragons is an old Rankin and Bass animated movie. Same group that did a lot of like stop motion animation Christmas specials, as well as the original Hobbit animated movie, as well as like Last Unicorn, a bunch of like classic fantasy stuff. But Flight of Dragons is based off of a book series that is only loosely related to the movie. Hey, Billboard. Only loosely related to the movie. And the way that dragons fly in that one is they eat particular minerals that generate, in their digestive process, the combination of those minerals and their digestive system creates lighter than air gases. So they float kind of like zeppelins or balloons. They control their height using their flame breath. So they can run out of flame breath and the ability to fly. Okay, so why do it do that? Because for the JSON constructor, we're going to initialize it. It's going to fill in empty lists. But why it no work? That's why. There we go. The copy constructor was purging out the base behaviors, which means most things had no behaviors. Oh, I gotta... Let's make sure we're doing this right. Hey, Hendry! Nope, still not working. Let's go in here. Okay, player should have base behaviors. Let's get another entity going, though. Why is it behaviors? Bullet yarn ball. Let's make sure that we've got our naming set up properly. Okay, they're loading base behaviors. We're going to copy behaviors if it's there, but we're also going to copy base behaviors. Behaviors gets cleared out anytime we rebuild it, but just to be sure, when we're duplicating an entity. There we go. Okay, the player still isn't functioning, but the base behaviors of everything else are. Just to be sure. Yep. Okay, so why isn't the player loading up properly? Player is going to be the first entity to exist in the game world, so doing it this way, we can usually catch this. Oh, okay, I know why that happened. Because we never updated player. Need our... group. And we need our player. Group, we have base player. Take that. And we go over to the player entity where we've got base behavior. Okay, so this will be a little different. We have initial loadout already there, so let's add a couple of columns. many do we need for this? So we're going to need 6 total properties. Right-click E. No. B. B. Okay, so that'll get us 6. Let's do value. Hey, Lunar. Let's see. Touch typing invaders minigame where you defend the planet from minion swarms of eldritch horrors. Not because it's the right thing to do, but because no one takes what's yours. Nice. Not yet, Lunar. Not yet. Yours. Just so. So then we go over, we copy this. Say collision hit player, base behaviors. Then we still have our initial loadout blob there. Okay, close both of you. Run this again and make sure. Okay, that's taking longer than it should. Feels like we broke something. Read the file. Our catalogable data is the player. It's not liking that. Okay, so something about the player file is probably broken here. Let's check. That's why. We had a extraneous value. Player wasn't being loaded, so other things couldn't load. There we go. Okay, there's our clear. Our player entity has no 3 things in its base behavior. Collision with the player, knockback, and move player. There we go. Okay. New behavior system in place. That. Design image there. It's this. Get those committed so we don't lose it. Haven't had to revert in a while. I've only used a sub branch a couple of times. Okay. So that is functioning. So let's start down the road of health items. Right now, in the inventory, we have... Let's load this up and show it. Well, as part as of the player state is this health bar. Icons are placeholders at the moment. You get hit, you lose a pip of health. There's essentially an empty state and a full state. What I would like is that each of these little markers is its own thing. That when that marker gets hit, it can trigger its own behaviors. How we're gonna do those behaviors, I think we're probably gonna do it akin to how the like a behavior functions, like an entity functions, is that they will have a cascade of effects that they do, and a state that they will set. So internal to them, they're going to change their textures in similar so that you can see it in the inventory. You might have, full hearts, half hearts, empty hearts kind of thing. You might have hearts that go away when they empty out. So if you're familiar, think things like Binding of Isaac for different hearts. This heart looks like this and behaves this way when it is struck. That way, we get some flexibility. The player loadout will have how many of each type of heart it gets in sequence. And then that gets loaded in that sequence. I think that should be interesting. So we're going to go into player state. So we have our base player state. We're going to add, let's double check here. Okay, we have our health built in here. Once again, Florian, if you want to call out an idea or something like that, or something that you think might be interesting to me or chat, just call it out. Don't ask permission to call it out. I may have missed a question. Henry, do you get what we're doing, or at least the topic of what we're doing? Call this health. Just in case we have different concepts, we're gonna have the idea of a heart. It's a game in general. Our current task here now is health. We're gonna come up with the concept of we're gonna call it a heart. I haven't been using the concept of partial classes, like actually using it. I'm trying to avoid that. Not because it's really bad or anything, but because it's hard enough to find all of the bits of my code without spreading a class across multiple files. If I get a big enough class, we're probably going to resort to that so that we can see the different we can find its different parts, or we can isolate its different parts. Okay, so we have public heart. It's our constructor. That's also going to be our JSON constructor. We also need, this is going to extend iCatalogable. I do need to change the name of this. This is not really an interface. It's a parent class. Let's do that before I forget again. Let's just verify that this doesn't break anything. Yes, I do. This will change, like, everything. Okay, nothing exploded. Good, good. Let's get that committed so that we don't have to find all the bits. Remove that because we'll add that in a moment. But all of these things implement catalogable. Every little bit, or they reference it. Catalogable ceased to be an interface a good little bit ago. It started to carry data and functionality, as opposed to just acting as a template to stamp additional function on top. We'll add you more later. I remember the first coding that I ever did was in a Visual Basic editor like VB1 in, well, early Visual Basic. Not Visual Basic, early Basic. No visual component. In DOS. And I would play around making animations using ASCII art and all kinds of print statements. I mean, a lot of modern computer towers still sound like jet engines. I mean, you can get quiet fans, but there's a limit. Okay, so we got you. I can imagine that, Dodds. The original Star Wars playing as ASCII art triggered by command prompt. So Florian, let's see, a crater of darkness. Are we talking like a magical bubble of like eternal night kind of thing? Kind of a artificial bottom of the ocean kind of thing? Okay, so now we need to make our copy constructor. We'll just reference this. If we have a copy, we are going to assume that it's equal to copy cast as a heart. Because you'd have to have a very particular geography in positioning to make it so that a crater deep enough in a hole that you couldn't get any light. Like, it'd have to be deep enough and offset from the normal passage of the sun, just so. Okay, so we cast that, and then we'll go in and make use of the actual copy. But we also need... Let's see. We're going to want to be able to load this. We do an entity for that. Where's our texture hanging out? We have a texture key. But I don't really want... We don't really want to have to constantly reload a texture. I'd actually want to be able to mirror these across files, so we might add a static collection here of different textures and still use the key. So again, right here we have a string that we're loading in. The entity doesn't use this directly. There is an entity visual that fetches the texture for this. But with hearts, what we're potentially going to have is a series of the same kind of heart that each of them have like the same texture. So I don't want to reload that. So we would have a protected static dictionary of string to texture wrapper. That. So what we're going to use this for is to store those texture wrappers off. Anytime one of these guys comes into existence, it is going to try to load its texture in here. So void initialize, and both of these will call initialize so that we can wrap some of this stuff. That's not right though, because this is going to be a string, list of strings so that we can I wonder if we're going to be able to do this properly. Because this isn't going to be a name list converter. I might need to make a new JSON converter for this one. No, this might work as is, actually. Texture keys, and it will have a get set. We're still going to want to initialize... we can do it this way. As soon as one exists, it has its new collection. So we currently don't need initialize yet. What we're trying to set up here is that the idea of a heart, there will be a collection of texture wrappers that we're going to use. We're going to use these to fill in the visuals, and we don't want to duplicate these texture wrapper objects, which will contain a texture 2D object, multiple times. There's no need to. Yeah, right here. I don't want to make multiple of these. It is possible that in the background, we don't duplicate these. That Godot is handling like reference IDs to an actual texture. But because you can mess with a texture, I'd rather have copies of the wrapper and copies of the texture accordingly. We'll see how that plays out. Yeah, we might be overcomplicating, but is what it is. So after we copy is where we would initialize, but we can't do the loading of textures in any of the constructors. We would need to create this object, and then it needs to be kind of poked in order to try to populate this. Anytime we reference the texture keys, so what I'm thinking on here is that we need a moment where we convert these, which are loaded from the file, into these, which are references to texture wrappers by name. That we don't go and fetch a new texture wrapper if it's already in our list for all of the hearts. So there is a point somewhere in the existence of this thing after it's initialized, after it is created, that we need to populate this. We could do this as a message handle. Where we are going to get a type of event here. Right now, in entity, in behavior, we have messages living here. What I could do is make a overarching class that is just a game message. I would also like to change the name of all of these to message behavior, message collision. So they line up nicely, you know? One way or the other. We'll see. Because we want them to be able to handle different types of message. So I think this actually needs to be moved up out of... This is just a folder structure thing that we're talking about here. So I think this should be moved up into game. Do not adjust their namespace. Okay. This is entirely for organizational purposes. Messages are not part of the entity, they are part of the game flow. If we change the name of this to game message, then we're going to be able to, yeah. These are not behavior messages, they are game messages. So, a health message is still a game message. We're going to change this inside of a enemy or similar. This is just a number. We are smacking them with this the hearts are going to help this. If all entities have hearts, we can change this as far as how they operate. So you could have like a bouncy heart. You can have a piercing heart. That a bullet has these. And so when a bullet takes a hit, if it's a piercing heart, it reacts to that and says, "Oh, this passes right through. Don't worry about it." If it takes a hit to a bouncy heart, then it says, "Okay, this triggers the bounce behavior." That could work. We'll revisit that. For now, hearts will only be for the player. So that gives us the idea of a handle message here. And we can have an initialize entity call, which will pass that into various elements. We could just have it be initialize health or initialize heart kind of thing. In our weapon logic, in our inventory, we do something similar. So we add an item, we add an entity, we add behaviors. Build entity templates. Here we go. There is a point at which, yes, we tell that we initialize message here. This is, so it's going to be a handle message, and we can get a, we might change this to just be, okay, no, that, we will have just a health initialize or a heart initialize kind of thing. Class, and this is a, oh, no, it didn't go there. So this is going to be a heart initialize message. Well, good luck with those world ideas. I'm sure they could turn into interesting drawings. Okay, right now, heart initialize message does nothing in particular. Public pool handle message. Copy that over from entity. Did we change it here? Right there, maybe? Ah, okay. Yeah, we changed game message. Let's check that. Yeah. We'll add that in once we've got it further defined. Art, if we have a entity, it's our handle message. There we go. Add another. Okay, this is more the one that we want. virtual. Default, it will return false. It does not eat the message. Handling the message relies entirely on the consumer of it. So the message doesn't intrinsically pass an entity in. And the heart state, I don't think, is going to be the one. We might have to have a wrapper for all of the hearts so that it can keep track of how many are empty or not. Alternately, we're just going to have logic to go through and say which ones are empty, kind of thing. So for now, I don't think the heart needs the source entity. Because a health message is going to get where the damage is coming from. Let's still keep the entity that owns the heart here. So this will relay up through the player state. If the message is a heart initialize message, then for now we are just going to go through our initialize logic. For each string in texture keys, texture key, if textures, it's not going to be if it contains it, it is going to be if it doesn't. Add, pass it in as texture key, and it will be services, catalog, get a texture, which will be a texture wrapper with the texture key, and that wants a texture wrapper, so implicitly this is a texture wrapper. We're gonna what it means when it fades this is that that's technically unnecessary. The code can infer what that is. I am explicitly telling it that's what this is. Twofold, because I want this to have a problem immediately. That will be you can't cast it. It will also do that if I just pass it in. But I'm being explicit about it. So when you're reading the code, you can see I am telling it that this is a texture wrapper. Actually, no. Tell a lie. Because I'm using get texture, this will be a texture wrapper. Hey, James. Welcome. Okay, so this preps all of that. initialize message is a game message. I hadn't encountered that issue before. There we go. Okay, so this is the base. If we get an initialize, we initialize. We do this. We want a current texture and we want an event for the texture changing. So this is a public delegate. Okay, so we're gonna make it so that you can subscribe to this event in order to know that a particular texture changed. Then you can query that heart and say this one. Indeed, it's Piotr, right? Probably a little bit of an accent that I'm missing, but. Let's do a quick check on the kitty cats here. How many can we see? We can see Ember. We can see Sammy. We can see Mason. We can see Molly and Sky. Sherbet is hiding in my footrest. Okay, so all 6 accounted for. All 6 accounted for. Nice. It is a lot of cats. It is a lot of cats. 5 was a lot of cats, and I adopted Molly because somebody adopted her brother and left her alone. They are all very, very happy kitties. How would we do this? Because we need to tie UI to it. Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a later problem. You below the static. So the default heart does not raise this event, but it exists on the default heart. We could have a get set property on a current texture that we're going to JSON ignore. And when you get it, you just get that texture. But if you set it, it will emit the event. And that would make things a bit cleaner, I think. We'll think on that for just a minute. I will be right back. Just a couple minutes. And we're back. Over to the tree view here. So we potentially have 2 kitty cats. There we go. Yeah. And this one will have actual methods for it. A protected set. Yeah. Current texture. Turn the current texture. So current texture is equal to value. And then we'll have heart texture changed. Let's actually pass in texture wrapper. Like that. If it exists, we are going to invoke that, and this, and current texture. Okay, so if you change what the current texture is, and you can only do that from within the class, it will set it, and then it will raise the value. It will raise the event. So then each heart is going to have whatever way that it sets this. We could have initialize be virtual as well, as long as we call the base. It's a weird little... Yeah. So as long as you call the base of initialize, this will get loaded up, and then you can do any subsequent stuff that you need to do. So we're not going to erase the event in a copy constructor. Dot current texture. So we're not going to set it by the property. We could. Yeah, let's set it by the property. It looks cleaner that way. This will raise the event, but at this time, the event should not exist, so we won't invoke it. Dot add there is 1, 2. Okay, copy 2 And we are going to pass in let us do this. Art dot texture keys dot copy to do this. No. I could do a for each. That's kind of what it would do. We'll just do in heart dot texture keys. So individual hearts are going to have assumptions about what their texture keys are. And logic to ensure that. So if it's, say, full, half, empty, then it expects 3 texture keys. That would be hard-coded into that particular type of handler. All right, so speaking through this again, we're going to make sure that I'm not doing any JSON writes, but we're making sure that anything that isn't supposed to be touched isn't touched. Like, this one won't be touched. It's not a property, but I'm going to explicitly say, don't mess with this one. Similarly with this one. This is not a property that the default logic should be setting. I'm sorry, that the JSON should be setting. The heart itself should be setting this. Okay. So then we're going to have this is just going to be a default heart. Extends heart. We need the same general pattern here. Where we'll copy into it. As soon as we figure out what our values are, we'll be copying those over. This one is going to expect this one is going to expect 3 states to it. Detected, override, initialize. We call base initialize. Get all that prepped. Actually, this one doesn't need special handling there. It's in handle message. public override handle message. We let the base handle the message. We don't care if the base tries to eat the message here. Most hearts won't eat the message. Actually, most hearts will eat the message. Most hearts will eat the message. What we want to have happen is that I send damage down the chain in reverse order. The last heart gets each damage message first. If that heart consumes all of the damage, then it doesn't care. Then subsequent hearts don't care. Not consume. We're going to do a message initialized one. If we've got a heart initialized message, then we get our base initialization. Check heart. Clear all these out. Okay, that's when we're initializing. So we don't need that there. Override. Initialize. Never remember, can we do base off of that? No, we can't. We do the base initialization. This is where we're going to check and see if the heart has enough textures. Do we actually care, or are we going to use an empty texture? We should throw in air. If texture keys, okay. Count does not equal 3. Because we've added a constant there, public. We need to make it an int because that's going to return an int. Yeah. Okay. So if there aren't 3 keys, less than 3. $. $sign at the end. There we go. Okay. If we don't have that many keys, if we alter, like in a child class, if we alter how many textures or how many states it has, then we'll need to deal with that. But I feel like starting with a default of 3 states, what amounts to 1, half, and 0, is the way to go. So this is current texture equal to textures dot the textures keys 0. This will raise the event during the initialize, or we can just ask what the current texture is after that. This is a protected integer let's start using that. Because floating point and double, while they allow for huge numbers, the precision is not what we want. I'm already seeing in the data wonky presentations of that, which we don't want. We don't want those rounding errors to show up, especially here. If message is a health message, message is equal to that cast as a health message. So we are only going to apply negative values here. We're dealing with teeny tiny numbers. So yeah, we don't need the possibility of such big numbers. Hey, Melzy, we're doing well. We're getting we are regularly emerging from the the deep structure of the code into more gameplay elements. We are setting up how health will work, at least for the player, and I have a feeling that this might work for other things. We're actually trying to deal with smaller numbers for the damage. That doesn't mean I won't show a bigger damage number when it goes off. Is less than... Ooh. Okay, no. Heart restoration is going to go from front to back instead of back to front. Heart reduction goes from back to front. So we send it we send damage in from the rear of the list, and we send healing in from the front of the list. Okay, so right. So the actual damage numbers in the game I want to keep small. So it does half a heart, 0.5 damage. It does 5 damage, that kind of stuff. But that doesn't stop us from presenting the damage as, say, like 1,000 or something like that. Increasingly big numbers that still scale down to 1 or half kind of thing. Late in the game, you are doing, 1.5 million damage, and that means 1.5 damage. Or we just straight up lie. It just shows a random number. There is nothing stopping me from changing how each individual heart handles damage and to change the damage scaling. If I do that, there needs to be a value somewhere in the game that tells you what kind of scale the damage numbers will be at, so that I can replicate this into the logic. If things are going to be doing 1,000 damage, but that is supposed to be 1 heart worth of damage, then I need the hearts to recognize what the interim values are and account for them. Okay, so do health left plus equals health message dot change. So if the player takes damage, this will be a negative number coming in. So if we overkill this particular heart, if health left is less than 0, so every bit less than 0 is overkill damage. Should we change messages to allow for me to change them on the fly. I'm going to declare yes. And hello, Boom, hello. So if I look at a health message right now, this is a read-only value. Ooh. But we're doing it in units of 1. This will break things. So collision health is the current health bar for entities. Hey, Drew, we're doing good. We're working on the health logic for our game. We're getting this all set up so that we can... this is using Godot, Melzy. We're doing all the coding in C# in Visual Studio, unless we can't. Hello, Pixel, welcome. Unless there's some reason we can't, so things like setting up a scene happens on the Godot side. But otherwise, as much in C# as possible. We do like scene control, which scenes to load, all that kind of stuff. Drew, I started playing a little bit of solo Terraria recently. Doing expert with the drunk seed. It is proving as chaotic and difficult as I would like for the time being. It's mostly just killing time. All right, let's make sure damage works properly. I like that seed because it's the everything seed. You get all of the, you get both types of corruption, you get all of the optional environments, all that goodness. All right, let's make sure things go away. Yep. Make sure collision explosions happen. They do indeed. Terraria is one of those examples of if you have a thing that is doing well, if as far as your business is concerned, you are doing well, and you can continue doing well with the kind of the staff and the things that you are adding in, just keep doing it. Everything does not have to be exponential expansion. Okay. We have adjusted how health works on the default level. Let's get that saved. Okay, we'll push those. That's part of the goal, Pixel. The art is an extension of the old Noida mod that I made back when the channel was pretty much all Noida. Game concepts will also extend from there. If it's not apparent, the style of game we're going for is bullet heaven. So, you know, spray projectiles everywhere, try not to die. As opposed to it's the genre that you generally need to be aware of in order to get why it's called bullet heaven. A bullet hell where the enemies spray bullets everywhere, try not to die. Okay, so in our base heart, now, because we have modified that, we are going to say help message dot change is equal to health left. Health left is equal to 0. So then bullet hells are, for me, visually interesting. Like, it's cool to watch somebody play a bullet hell, but I definitely couldn't do that. Not without a lot of, like, training to get the precision motion in there properly. I think that should actually be a base heart message. Virtual. It doesn't really need to be. Every one of them is going to do its own thing. Some of them, like, we could set it right here. I think we can just set that right here. And 1. No worries, Pixel. I know a lot of folks like to just lurk and listen, and that's perfectly acceptable. Do what makes you feel comfortable. To health left, -1. So we're going to have update state in here, because all of the different states will have their own here. So this is health left is 1. Else if health left is greater than 0, else. So the sequence is going to be full, half, empty as far as that. Once again, we should change this to protected. Index. So what we're doing for this is just making some constant values for which texture in the texture key list is what. So current texture is equal to textures, your keys. Oh. Full index. Oh, welcome back, Levi. Welcome back. How's it going over there? Did your D&D game end, or are you just stopping through? So then it will raise the event up here. Still prepping, huh? Still prepping. As is tradition. Also, as is tradition. Scheduling issues, even with the world of online tabletops and the like, is part of the tabletop role-playing experience. If everybody could be there on time all the time as scheduled, then it just wouldn't be the same. Okay, so we will have raised the texture change event by doing this. So now in base player state, this is where we have, instead of our health, we're going to have our heart state here. Where we're not going to be passing in we don't need... We still want to handle the health change fully within the end step. Right? This is where we'll check the state of the heart. But we're going to apply the changes to the hearts on impact. We don't need to do this aggregation as much as we did. So where are we setting up? Okay, this will update based on the textures. This is going to go through and get what the player's current health state is, iterate over it, and populate the cells accordingly. This is not terribly efficient. We can hold off on update here, unless the health changes. Yeah. Okay. So back in base player state, have our handle health changed. This is going to be where we're setting up the hearts. So by default, we're just going to create a series of base hearts to work with. Doubles. Constants, I mean. So this is a protected list of hearts. That prepped. So what we're doing here is going to break a lot of we're gonna remove that and revisit it. We have some like vestigial knowledge or layering here. Behaviors. Add the player. Turn the player. Okay. Let's get that in there. I wouldn't mind eventually having effectively a couch co-op system for this, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. That. For anti is 0. It's less than 10. Plus plus, so we're going to add 10 hearts. And new base heart. Base heart, to new base heart. We're going to have the same one a couple of times here. Let's look at our data. Let's look at our textures. Not sprites. They're not really icons. We need to set some texture wrappers for the hearts. Sprites are all texture wrappers. So we're going to copy icons. Same way sprites is texture wrappers for sprites. Texture. It's empty. I think we put these in icons for now. We're going to move them over to a different folder. Here, delete these imports, force Godot to clean them up. Eventually, I want to have, well, I'll probably move the data files into their constituent folders here, but, we'll see. Okay, so we have full and empty. We're going to say textures, art. Empty. There, and we're going to use full. Nothing we've got does partial damage, so we'll never get to half for the time being. Okay, so this will be our heart textures. We're going to just force the... we're going to force the values instead of defining. But it is 0, 1, 2. Okay. Health change. Heart.handle message. Technically from the player, new heart initialize message. So we're priming each heart as we create it. Okay. Let us go into health UI here. Nothing special there. So base health UI has all of its bits there. Player state. The base player state won't have exposed health. So player state and health UI are going to be relatively paired things. Update handle message, get the player. So we've loaded up the hearts. Whenever we get a health change message, we can relay that in. So this is where we're checking each of the hearts. For the base heart class, we do need to have an empty state. Is empty. We can actually just do that. Connected. Pool is empty. Okay, we can set is empty whenever that's marked. So this will give us a way to, regardless of the heart type, to say, is it empty? Because the player state doesn't understand the operation of each individual heart. The only two things it's going to know about hearts is damage goes, again, from back to front, and healing goes from front to back. Okay. So then in our base heart, when we get a health message and we update state, if this is it's equal to 0. So there is a period of time. Yeah, let's put that in each one of them. Don't change the state of is empty. We don't change the state of is empty unless we have a specific reason to do so. Otherwise, we're just raising relevant events. Heart raises texture change. I would like to have a way to index these. We don't have the concept of removing a heart yet. Public, delegate, void, remove, heart. Okay, so this event gets raised if for any reason the heart says I should go away. This is going to be effectively temporary health. Once it's gone, it's gone. So this is for finding that heart in our collection there. Not 100% fond of this pattern, but I think we can still make it work. So a base health UI needs to know the heart state. Needs to know what textures to show. Base health UI doesn't care about anything other than what textures to show. What is the list? So we could give it a list of textures, and it would then populate in the cells accordingly. Because the health UI only cares about the visuals. And right now it's very dependent on information about the player state. We could have it query okay, player state can get a health updated event, and then we can have a exposed thing that is get health visuals. But that presupposes what the base health UI is. Like, it has to know that it would get hearts. I think these have to be paired. I think they have to be paired. That is, you can't have a health UI that doesn't understand how health is presented, how health needs to be presented, and that is going to vary. If we assert that health is always presented as hearts, or that information is always conveyed as hearts, then we can still rig this up. Or that it's always conveyed as because health UI could ignore the hearts UI. No, let's make a kind of unilateral decision here, or let's assert the decision and say that it's always in terms of hearts. Player health is always in terms of hearts. Yeah. Okay, we'll be right back, and then we'll get to that. Okay. Like I said, we're making the decision that the player state always emits a series of textures, and that the health UI will do what it wants with those textures. But it doesn't know anything about the inner workings of them. It doesn't know that things are empty or not. So in a player state, we're going to add an event. Give a list of texture wrapper. So if the player's health visuals change, then we raise this event. Health UI is going to take that list of textures, which is going to be generated from all of the hearts, and say, this is truth now. Public event. So at any point, that can be raised. So in base health, base player state, could just handle health change right in here. Because we don't just want the health change, we want the message. So we are going to change that to be the entity in the game message. Health message. This will be a health message so that we can just pass it right in. This is if message dot change is greater than 0, I will do greater than or equal to. Actually, no, let's do less than 0. If it's 0, we're not going to send the message. So we're going to iterate over in parts. Let's force it into order for so this is a positive change, so front to back. So then hearts dot count plus plus I plus plus. We'll handle the removal of the hearts in the end step. We'll queue them up to be removed, because it's possible that upon doing this, we're going to cause hearts to be removed. So either of the changes, either of these could result in a heart being removed. I is greater than or equal to 0. I minus minus. So from back to front. Did list of hearts to remove. Heart in hearts to remove. Index. We could iterate over it. This seems real messy. Seems real messy. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm going through and saying all of these hearts need to be removed, but these hearts are things in a list. We can't do it by index. We could have a secondary dictionary of them. Yeah. No, that won't work. That still leads us to the problem of the index changing. Because the position in this list is again, it's an index space. If I pull one out and I have an index list, that index list is immediately wrong. So I think we have to iterate over them. Just again, ugly. This one is greater than or equal to 0. Minus minus. Back to front. Yeah, I don't know if it's if a list is treated as an array, then it's cheaper to do back to front. So if I find it at the end, removing it is free, more or less. I don't know if this is actually like a linked list or what it is in the... Yeah. What is the... let me check that up. looking up what the syntax for that is. Okay, I think this may still be right. Should be this reference is still equal to this reference. I will rule true and not removed. Okay, so we go through each one of these. Yeah. Remove that count is greater than 0. Then we'll do this. Now we're going to make a wrapper function for updating the textures. Hey, Calamity, welcome, welcome. Getting a bit locked into some of the code, so I'm not chatting as often, but I am still trying to pay attention if you send a message. So forgive me if I miss something or am slow. Remove hearts. We will have to have an add hearts function. That, send UI update. So this can trigger a UI update. That's okay. We'll And a for loop over all the hearts. It's less than count. And all empty. Plus. So until this gets set to false. If hearts is empty. If not that, all empty is false. Actually, all empty is equal to hearts empty. No. Yeah. If it's empty, then heart's empty. If it's false, all empty becomes false, and that breaks that condition. And get an alive false. State. We can raise player died. If in the player state. If in the end step we determine that alive is false, missing anything here. Catalog constants is one that I'm going to need to hunt for all of the stuff in it to make sure that I'm not using it anymore. There are a lot of these that I want to fundamentally change. Not live if message is end. alive, we're going to raise player died. This would require a subsequent end step message. And we don't want to have a second end step message. So we can return not alive here and say if the entity has received a message, now the entity won't eat on an end step message. Health change. The health change can happen immediately. This is if for any reason hearts are being removed. Let's do that. So this is the handle health change. If the health changes, then this is the case. In the end step message, we're going to try to remove hearts. And we're always going to update the UI here. So we can have, if not alive, list. So we're going to have a texture wrapper list. Just chattering along here. It's chattering along. Again, don't feel like you're interrupting me. If you have a question or anything like that, I am glad to stop and chat as we go along. Actually do the UI update at the end step here. Not within the actual health change event. Arts. print texture. We need to raise this. A player health visuals changed. If it exists, .invoke. Thank you, Vellum. I appreciate it. There you go. That's the full one. I finally made a button to do that. Ah, okay. We need a raise for that. List of texture wrappers. And this will just be there we go. Have I ever played The Room? It doesn't ring a bell, Silent Night. It doesn't ring a bell. There we go. We remove hearts in the end step. Let's add a flag for that. Okay, health changed. Message dot change. It's not equal 0. Oops, wrong one. That one. There we go. So if there's a change that can happen, then we're going to update the UI here. I'm sorry. If there's a change that's going to happen, we're going to say health changed equal to true. So the UI needs updating if the health changes or we remove hearts. So if we remove we send to remove the hearts, then we send a UI update. But the UI update will only go through so we do an if here. So okay, no matter what, if we try to update it, we're going to set it to false. And we're always going to try to update in the end step. Okay. Then in our base health UI, currently we're iterating here, but that's not what we really want to do. Get rid of new. And let's see. Services dot player state dot equals that, and we're going to say player health visuals changed. I call it health visuals changed because in player state I'm going to do that and say it's health visuals changed. And we're going to do that. Be more concise. If the player state is raising health visuals changed, if we're getting health visuals changed, that means the player's health visuals have changed. Now, I might need to add player into this, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Case. Okay, when we are up, right now we're dealing with the update method. And I don't really want the update method to be the one that actually updates the player health, because that's only going to happen when the health visuals change. So I can move most of this in here. So if it's less, we're going to remove back to front. Yeah. Okay. Take all of this in here for now. We're not going to use update because there's nothing I need to do on the update call here. So this is if cells count have a else if okay, these are the add remove cases. So this is, there should be more textures added. This is, it should be textures removed. This is while cells dot. So this is in the health UI. What we're doing is we're either expanding the UI or contracting it in order to words. In order to match the number of hearts that are remaining. So there will be no empty slot ones. If a heart is present and has an empty graphic, it will be there, but otherwise there won't be just a blank cell. Let's do if cells.count is greater than textures. All cells.count is greater than textures.count. Probably remove at that I want. Cells.count -1. Is there a better method I can use? We want to truncate the list is what we want to do. Okay, so we're going to remove range. We're going to start at this index. And we're going to remove cell count minus textures dot count. But we can't just do this. We actually can't just do this. We need to do it this way. It's a health UI cell. Equal to we're going to get the last cell. Then we have inner.remove child cell free health cell. Okay, no, it's node.queue_free. Now, this is not cheap, but we're not going to have to do these very often. This only happens when the health, like, the total amount of health changes. Same way, so there's while that's just that. So in this case, we're going through and we are prepping the cell. So here it's get the last cell, pull it out, set it to delete, and then remove it from the collection. We'll remove it from the collection up here just in case. So we've retrieved it, we've pulled it out of our collection of cells, we pull it out of the scene tree, and then we queue it for deletion in the scene tree. If we don't do this, it lingers until the end of the program, and we'll kind of... This would be a small memory leak, but a present one. Okay. And similarly, when we need to add them, we are going to go in, create a new one, set its minimum size. This gets its scale on the screen. Then add it to our collection and add it to the visual UI. Okay. Then... cells.count plus. Now we're going to for loop over cells. I.texture is equal to textures dot, well, textures I. Dot texture. There. Okay, and this should cause it to wrap if I have extra health cells here. Now, we could make it so that cell count only gets bigger, that we never have to remove them. And just have a check that is if I is inside textures, the texture count. Otherwise, we set the texture to null. Yeah. That way we're not messing with the tree more than we need to. If I is less than textures dot count, then we'll do this. Oops. Else. We'll see if this actually functions. All right, does this actually work? We've been doing a lot of changes. Okay, we have no health UI. Let's put a break in our... Oh, okay. We've never asserted the health update off the bat here. This is UI needs updating is equal to true. Let's see, because the first end step should result in the UI appearing. There we go. Let's get hit. Okay, it immediately broke down. Have taken damage. I'm gonna run to here. I need to update the handle message so that if they consume, like, if that heart has eaten all of the damage, that it doesn't continue. So all empty is currently true. The first heart should not be empty. First heart is empty. That's why. That's why. Because they're not eating the message. So if I have not exceeded in one direction or another, then we're going to consume the message. Let's see if that works. That doesn't quite sound right, but it will save us some time in the calculation in an event. Run over towards some of the enemies, get hit. So we're going to look at hearts. Is empty is false, okay? Okay, we need to account for handle message in here. And not... Okay, what we're saying here is that the message has not been consumed, is part of the requirement. And we're only checking that message if we're within range of it. That is, only if I is greater than or equal to 0 will we run this check. In this case, only if I is less than the count will we run this check. So as soon as one eats them, then we should stop sending the message. Again, I don't know that this is actually our problem, because the health chain should be getting eaten. Nope, there we go. Health is changing. You can see the little canisters draining out. And they're going to empty. There we go. There we go. Let's get that committed. Let's see. We're going to add those. Health textures to a given spot. Those. The camera one has jammed, because Ember got up to move when Molly crowded her out. Ember. Yeah. the noise filters cull all of the surrounding sound, and it's largely necessary. There's a lot of extra noise. But when I call out to several of them, they will make noise. Ember will trill and come trotting over. Sky will normally chirp at me. Molly will react, but it's generally her calling to me instead of reacting to me calling out. Sammy just straight up yells at me. Okay, so now we have the idea of a basic heart. What if we have a heart that takes 2 damage? So let's build that into the base heart. So if we say health left is equal to 2, and we go down here and say if it's 2, it's full. If it's greater than or equal to 1, it is well, in this case, if it's greater than 0 still. If it's 2, it's full. If it's greater than 0, it's half. We'll need to get the UI in there, but now it's going to take multiple hits for the player to go down here. I have doubled their effective health. Let's shuffle that. We'll give half index a different icon here. We're doing that in our player health UI. Do icon repos here. Data. We'll do one of our icons. We'll do the explosion icon. Okay, so we should see half icons appearing in this. They'll look like this one. Yep. So half empty, half empty. And different hearts can behave in completely different fashions. Let's now do don't know that this is going to play nice, but heart, if it's true, we invoke it. We need to do that in heart. We have raise remove heart. Raise remove heart. If it's present, we invoke it with this. Okay, so when the heart gets hit, if it empties out, we're going to make it go away. Okay, they're not vanishing, which implies that it's never finding the right heart. Okay, let's run that again. We're going to put a break in there. So that is in our health UI. No, it's in our player state. It's in remove hearts. Oh. Have any other events I care about? Heart texture changed. Because it could receive other messages. Yeah, we could rewire this so that it only does its UI update on heart texture change. During the end step. This equals that. Okay. It says UI needs updating is equal to true. And we no longer need to put UI needs updating anywhere else. Because it's possible that a heart's UI does not change when you take damage. Okay, and then when we're removing hearts, heart, heart to remove is equal to heart's I, and we're going to it's equal move heart minus equals move hearts. Heart. To remove texture, heart texture changed minus equals heart texture changed. We are unbinding the event here. Make sure this all works. And then We are very close to the health UI being ready to roll. Okay, we're not getting the intermediates. And we're not getting removals. That's because we didn't do anything with them. Is parts to remove, not add. Part. UI needs updating in the base heart. We update state and then we set the texture. Updating current texture in the actual heart should result in a raise event here. So in our base player state, we're going to look at two things. We're going to look at our remove heart message, and we're going to look at our texture changed message here. Remove heart. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. A couple more calls to it than would have been expected, but we'll cross that road when we get there. Okay, we immediately got a hearts to remove. Is unexpected. So equal to 2, it's greater than 0. Okay, that's visually. If the heart... Oh. It's not where we put it. That put you here. When they go empty, we remove them. Okay, we have a hearts to remove added. Okay, now the icons are going away. See in the upper left, once a heart is gone, it's gone for good. Which means if a healing event came through, it would not affect any of those prior hearts. They're gone. Yay! All right, let's save that. Let's get it committed real quick here. Okay. Okay. We made some progress today. So we finished up revising the behavior flow. It's much, much more simple now. It is pretty much entirely left to right, but the gates can do a variety of things now. They can either control a whole group at once, or they can act as like a barricade in the middle of the flow. All of that can happen at once. They can do all kinds of different stuff. So we'll see how that plays out over time. What kind of new stuff we can do. We've also got the framework for hearts in place. So we can do things like each heart takes a different amount of damage. You can refill hearts. You can remove hearts. We can add new hearts. We do need to have an add heart mechanism for the player, so that when a new heart comes in, we know what to do with it. We will also want to look at changing enemies to have a health state tracker as well that uses the same logic as the player state. So we might extract the health state tracker out and have different types of hearts for monsters. So the monster might just have a monster heart that is kind of like its current health collision logic, but more built in, such that we can just say it has this many of this heart kind of mechanism. Same way with the player loadout, we can say this player has 3 regular hearts, 2 temporary hearts, and 2 more regular hearts. Kind of stuff. If we do that with monsters, then we have a universal take a hit logic that's in the monsters, and then the loadout determines what kind of health they have. Once we have that in place, I think we can also revisit things like piercing and bouncing and put those as special hearts that projectiles use. That if a bounce heart takes a hit, then it causes the projectile deflect to happen. So the bounce behavior is a fire once, add a bounce heart. Pierce behavior is fire once, add a pierce heart. And since those hearts would eat the damage that comes in from a hit, they would just consume the whole hit. I would not need to have the sort of hacky logic that was in place previously. Yeah, we're getting there. Well, I hope everybody had fun watching with us today. Suffering through the debugging process, but learning along with us. If you like what you saw and would like to see more, remember to follow, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. All of them help the platform grow in their own platform-specific ways. Channel on platform. If you'd like to consider supporting the channel financially, you can do so through platform-specific methods like subscriptions, bits, memberships, super chats, as well as through Patreon and Coffee. Links to to my various channels and similar are found in bio and video description. And with that all said, I hope the rest of your day is good, and I'll see you next time.